You're watching the Realme X3 Disassembly, and if you need any tools, check out the links in the description. First, let's go ahead and remove that SIM tray. Next, we need to use a hairdryer or a heat gun to heat up the back plate so we can loosen up the adhesive underneath, and then we're going to use a plastic pry tool to pry the back plate off. So here's your back plate, and it is made of glass, so there's no flex to it. You have some foam pads on the inside of the back plate. There's some graphite film over here on the bottom on top of the speaker assembly which needs to be removed. Once that graphite film is peeled off, there are 19 Phillips screws which need to be removed. Once all the screws are removed, you're going to place your plastic pry tool in between the back housing and the frame of the screen, and then you're going to pop the catches along the edges. Once you separated the back housing from the mid frame, be careful because the cable for the fingerprint reader is still attached, so you're going to lift the back housing and put it on the side, and then you're going to go ahead and disconnect the battery cable first. Once the battery cable is disconnected, you could go ahead and disconnect the rest of the cables. So here's your back housing, and it is plastic. You have your LED flash locator right there, and this is your NFC antenna right here. You have a graphite sheet over here, which sits over your battery and the motherboard over here. And this is the cable over here for your fingerprint reader, and you do have numerous antenna contacts around the back housing. Now we're going to have to peel off this copper tape over here, which is covering this wire cable underneath, as well as the connectors for the front-facing cameras. Now let's disconnect the front-facing cameras and remove those. And then we can disconnect the wire cable. Now let's disconnect this camera cable over here. Once you remove the two Phillips screws and the cover on this camera assembly, you can see that this cable is just an extension cable for this camera, which connects right here. And this portion connects to the main board. Let's go ahead and disconnect these cameras. There's one Phillips screw located over here, which needs to be removed so we can lift up and remove the main board. Now we can lift up and remove that main board. So there are rubber gaskets around all the connectors, and we do have some more copper tape over here on top of the shield. This camera cable can be disconnected as well by popping it off. And you have a secondary microphone located over here on top. On the other side, you have your proximity sensor located over here on the top, and you have more copper tape with thermal paste on top of it, which sits over the shields. Once we peel back that copper tape, we can see more thermal paste on top of the RAM and processor, as well as some of the other chips. Now in order to remove the speaker assembly, there's some strong adhesive underneath the speaker itself, so you're just going to have to lift up and pry it off. Here's a better look at your speaker assembly. Now we can go ahead and disconnect this flex cable, which connects the bottom subboard to your motherboard. We can disconnect your SIM card reader. And then we have to disconnect this wire cable. There's some adhesive over here in this corner. We're going to have to peel it off so we can lift up and remove the bottom board. You have your main microphone located over here underneath the shield. And here's the other side where the microphone is. There's a small hole where the sound travels through. Alright, it's time to remove the battery. Luckily, there's a pull tab to help you pry the battery off. Here's a better look at your battery. Alright, so as far as your SIM reader goes, it's just held down with some adhesive. So if you wanted to replace that, you just have to put a tool underneath it and pry it off. And if you want to replace your charger port, the flex cable is right here underneath this adhesive strip. So you'd have to peel this adhesive tape off, and then you'd peel off your charger port cable and just remove your charger port. And this flex cable is your screen cable. It's ran through this opening over here in the mid frame. So if you ever had to replace your screen at this point, you would have to heat up the front of the phone where the screen is, and then you'd pry your screen off. You'd get your new screen or a new cable back through this opening over here, apply it back to the mid frame, and then you would reassemble your phone. This camera over here is held down with some adhesive underneath. Here's your earpiece speaker over here and your vibrator motor here, both of which are held down with adhesive as well. This flex cable over here leads to your buttons on the side, and you have some copper over here which sits underneath your cameras. One more thing to point out, the side of the motherboard which has the processor sits over here on the mid frame, which the thermal paste helps to transfer the heat, and underneath that you do have a copper heat pipe which runs along over here. And here's a look at the copper heat pipe with the graphite film removed. So as far as repairability goes, I'd give this phone an 8 out of 10. Pretty much every part on the phone is replaceable, which is a good thing. Also, there is a pull tab on the battery, which makes it much easier to pry off compared to phones which don't have it. And overall, it's fairly simple to make repairs on the phone. Alright, now it's time to put the phone back together. Once all your screws are back in place, apply new adhesive and reapply your back plate. Flip over your phone, power it on, and you're done. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you guys want to see more videos like this, make sure you subscribe and click on the notification bell so you'll be notified the next time I upload a video. Thanks again for watching guys, and I'll see you guys next time.